Every artist knows this feeling. You are drawing from your reference, but then you see it. You are already thinking how to cover it or how to run away from it. But sometimes you have to draw them. And when you do it, you destroy your whole masterpiece. That's why I practice hands for 7 days straight. Alright, it's the first day, my motivation is a solid 6 out of 10. And don't be wondering, I had an operation on my shoulder, so it's gonna be even more tough. First of all, I wanted to sketch some hands without any tutorials, to see at the end of the week how much I actually improved. I started with the triangular shape, then added some circles for the joint, then I added the shape for the fingers. And you can see that I already slightly struggled. And spoiler, it doesn't get better. I tried to split the fingers and there I noticed, alright, that hand is screwed. I took the next hand reference and guess what? Exact same problem. So I told myself, stop wasting your time and go watch some tutorials. In conclusion, I had no clue where to start and even more importantly, I didn't know any measurements. It's the next day and I searched for some tutorials. My first exercise, or let's say my first learning, were the measurements of all the knuckles. At all, I studied the whole construction of the hand and there I noticed that's gonna be a war with myself. I learned that you start with the palm. After that, you draw the shape for the fingers. And here you shouldn't be focused on every single finger. You should be more focused on how they are related to each other. The middle finger has round about the same length like the palm. The first knuckle starts at the middle of the finger itself and the second knuckle joint on the middle of that part. For the thumb, it's the same like with the fingers before. I drew the first hand with a tutorial, like I wasted so much time on the thumb, it drove me crazy. Especially if there was a situation that the YouTube video was looking like that and your drawing was literally this. I'll be honest, I hate how that first hand turned out. Like it looks so off. The second hand was more complex, but I have to say that it felt easier. And in my opinion, it looks even better than the hand before. The third hand had a different angle. Here you can see that the palm shape also changed. It went from a shape like this to one more like this. But in general, the process doesn't change. The fourth one was complex too, but after we know this technique, it wasn't really that hard. But the fifth one was a little bit different, because here we have even a foreshortened perspective. Foreshortened perspective means that here you, for example, see the full length of a cylinder. In foreshortened perspective, it would be something more like this. And we can see that effect with fingers. If you're enjoying this video, I would highly appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comments what was your biggest art struggle so far. So now we know the measurements and how to construct a hand. So I would say, let's practice now. So I started again with the first hand and man, it was horrible again. I just couldn't add the finger. But you know, I didn't run away from it and finished it, but I really didn't like it. So far the hardest shape is really the open hand. And I tell you, this overlapping right here should be illegal. And I was at first very demotivated again. Thank God I did some more studies because some of them were pretty okay. Like for example this one. It's nearly the same pose like the first one, but from the other side, and it looks in my opinion worlds better. Or this one, a little bit more complex, and yeah, trust me, these two fingers were horrible. This perspective was also very interesting to draw. It's day 4. Here I really just practiced the hands like yesterday, but I definitely realized that the process felt easier than yesterday. At all, the more complex hands didn't feel that overwhelming anymore. But don't get me wrong, this pinky was horrific to draw. It's the 5th day and I'm be honest guys, I can't see hands anymore. Like it felt so dry, but there was still a big part missing. With that I mean obviously the rendering, or let's say the coloring. As you know, I love to grayscale, so my first step was to get the values right. And oh boy, that was overwhelming. I just didn't know where to start. So I just started with the dark tones. In this step I really work fast. That means I see there is a dark tone. I didn't think a lot, I just put it there. After I was like, yeah, that's dark enough, I switched to a lighter color and did the same thing. Finally, I zoom out of the drawing and try to find some areas that are pretty off. And voila, here is the first rendered hand. Let's be honest, it doesn't look that bad. But as I said, I couldn't see hands anymore. So that was sadly my only study of the day. I basically did the same exercise like yesterday, but I definitely felt more comfortable with putting the colors, or let's say the gray tones, on the hand. But I also realized that I forgot some basic things of that technique. Like for example, where the knuckle should be. At all, I can highly recommend you to use the lasso tool in combination with the moving tool, I don't know, to, for example, fix the length and the position of the finger. What I also notice is that it's incredibly important to focus on the folds, or let's say to even draw them, because they are telling you if you are viewing the hand from the top perspective or from the inside hand perspective. I think that hand end up pretty okay. Of course, it's pretty rough, but let's be honest, in a normal character drawing, you would draw it small, and if you zoom out, it definitely looks believable. It's a final day and we are still missing a very important thing. I think it's even the reason why I did this challenge, and that is putting the hand on the character. I chose this reference, and because it was so hard for me to understand the reference, I just traced some basic shapes, turned the reference off, and tried to draw the shapes by myself. And before you're hating me for doing this, I actually learned it from Colleen. So I hope that's a legit technique. Write it in the comments. Again, I start with the palm, then I added the shape for the fingers. After that was done, I drew the fingers, so you know, just kind of splitted the shape. Like, no joke, once you understand this technique, it's really not that bad to draw them anymore. Then again, the coloring / rendering. No, I'm not gonna grayscale the whole character, because I literally had no energy for that. I hope you can understand it. Yeah, so basically, that's the result, and in my opinion, it's okay. I mean, 7 days ago, I couldn't even draw a simple hand, and now we are here. So yeah, it was worth it. Conclusion. Was this challenge helpful? Definitely. Would I recommend to draw hands every day? No. Because one of the downsides of drawing hands is that they take so long to draw them. Don't get me wrong, you have to put time into your work, but let's be honest, there are way cooler things to learn, and especially things that make a major impact on your drawings, like for example, the shape of your face or the hair. But as you know, someday you have to master that, because otherwise you would always run away from it, and I think that's not really a solution. And by the way, thank you for 1000 subscribers. That really means the world to me. See you soon and peace out.